We're talking episode 3 of The Mandalorian with spoilers, plus some new articles centered around the Rise of Skywalker, our impressions of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and some canon readings we've been doing. Punch it, Chewie! This is the way.
Punch it!
Welcome to the second episode of Hyperspace Hype. We got a full crew once again. Joining us today, we got Carson.
What's going on, guys? Excited to be back for another episode. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. Mandalorian episode 3 in particular. Let's just jump into it.
Additionally, joining us, we have Evan.
Hey guys, what's up? It's been a busy week of Star Wars, and I'm very excited to talk about all of it. Mando Season 3 and all the news and articles about the Rise of Skywalker. Let's go.
I can't wait. Also, we got Brandon joining us once again.
Hey everyone, it's currently 1:33 in the morning and we are all recording. Let's do this, let's go.
Super late night. Super late night, but of course it's what we can do. But we have a full show today. Kicking things off, we got officially episode 3 of The Mandalorian premiered on Disney Plus as directed by Deborah Chow. A lot of great stuff in this episode. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Evan to kick things off on his thoughts on episode 3.
Okay, yeah, I loved this episode of Mandalorian. It might be my favorite episode so far. I've been loving every single episode. It's just been getting better and better. And for my notes for this episode, I just wrote down 2 words, and that was Deborah Chow, because I think she did a fantastic job from a directing standpoint. Just from that feeling of tension from the very beginning, because part of me felt like it was very predictable in the sense that we knew, like, Mandalorian wasn't going to give up Baby Yoda, but at the beginning of the episode, you just had that question mark in your head, like, okay, what's he going to do when he gives him up? Like, is he even going to give him up? Is there going to be a fight at the first? And just in general, the tension in this episode is very palpable, very intense, and I really love that, especially the last couple of minutes, too.
Yeah, it was intense, man. Just like, and of course, this is a full spoiler talk. Just to let you guys know, it's just the best way we could talk about things. A lot of things happened. Yeah, he did go back for Baby Yoda. The Beskar loading up scene was excellent. To see him fully armored and ready to go was so excellent. Brandon, I noticed you have like a big obsession with the Beskar. How did you feel when you first saw him fully decked out?
Oh man, when he walked into the cantina and you just see like this shiny Beskar, I'm like, he looks crisp, yo! That was literally the words that came out of my mouth when I first watched it. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's so good. Carson, do you have any thoughts?
I love this episode. I actually just rewatched it for a second time, and I definitely agree with Evan's notes. Deborah Chow, this episode is really fantastic in the sense that I think that it really kind of sets into play the conflict of the show, and between the Mandalorian kind of and where his loyalties lie with, obviously the other Mandalorians and bounty hunting in general, and what that I loved, kind of the shift in the episode where every point he's having to question what he's going to do with this child and if he needs to go back for it. And I thought a really cool kind of thing that Deborah did was the little handle in the ship, when he gets back to his ship after he takes the new job. He like looks at the handle because it's not screwed back on yet, and it immediately makes him think of Baby Yoda again. And I love that scene where he shuts everything down and then he just walks back to the Werner Herzog's camp, and then takes off. What are the those eye things that check people out at the door? I love how he just rips that out.
I was so shocked that it screamed in pain. I thought it was just a piece of technology. Right. I didn't know it was real. I was like, geez. It was pretty funny. Yeah, a lot of great stuff. I loved all the Baby Yoda stuff. Just him wanting to play with the ball and the controls was great. Big thing we got this episode was a bit more of the vibe with the underground Mandalorian clan There's some tension with our main character and at least one of the Mandalorians,
Who happens to
but
be
it's
Jon
still
Favreau.
cool. Yeah, John Favreau featured in, which was great. But it was
Yeah, he was the Tar Vizsla character, right?
yeah, it was really cool to see not only them like fight and duke it out, but just they're all unison in their motto. This is the way. Was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And like honestly, when I first watched the episode, it was kind of strange to see Mando's in action to this extent in live action, because it's like, you're so used to seeing them in the context of a Dave Filoni animated show,
Yeah.
jetpacking around, and all of a sudden it's like right there, like, and it's just crazy that we're living in this era of Star Wars that, like, we have a show about Mandalorian culture as like the focal point of the TV series so far, which is awesome. And something else, to go back to like kind of how everything was ramping up in this episode, I noticed, did you guys notice like the I think it's like an Imperial probe when he goes back to get Baby Yoda, and I believe when he's sitting on the roof, like they're discussing how like I can't keep you safe anymore or whatever to the scientists. And it's interesting because I think later down the line there's going to be more of insight into like the hierarchy of like these Empire threats, and so we're going to kind of expand out from this parsec, if you will, which is super crazy to think about how like the galaxy just going to get bigger and bigger as we started so small so far in these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see
Yeah,
where it
let's-
takes off.
Yeah, me too. Get into that one moment that you're talking about, Carson, where he was telling the doctor or whatever, like, I can't protect you and stuff like that. So, what do you think the doctor was really trying to gain from Baby Yoda? Because he was saying, like, he's the only reason Baby Yoda was still alive. But at the same time, he was still doing experiments on him. Like, what do you think the end game is
Right.
there?
I think that, so when Mando goes back and goes into that room, and like the scientist is kind of like pleading for his life or whatever, and he's like, he's only alive because of me or whatever. I think that like probe droid or whatever was kind of like observing the scientist and not Baby Yoda, and kind of like keeping a watchful eye on him. That's something I
Okay.
noticed
That
in the
makes
second
sense.
episode. My second rewatch is kind of like that probe droid was kind of a threat to the scientist, like, hey, keep working, your life depends on it. Another thing that's super interesting, this is on my second watch, is when so he gets Baby Yoda back and he's walking, and all of the bounty throbs start going off, which is like, I don't know, my headcanon now is like someone like reinstated the tracker or whatever, because I'm like, why would those still be active? It just makes you think that like this asset is that important that all of a sudden whoever we figure out later down the line that it's important is like already sending off these trackers to go, because that's how important this character is.
Yeah, I feel like it could go either two ways. I feel like the trackers being activated, I mean, it would be presumed that it could be for the Baby Yoda, but it could also go a route where it's on the Mandalorian himself, which would be like majorly difficult on the run, having to deal with all that. Let's definitely talk about the big action set piece. Just him infiltrating the Imperial base. It goes full John Wick in a way, not just from his action that is pretty brutal at times, but also with all the markers going off. It's just like John Wick Chapter 2 and 3. It's so cool. He really is the John Wick of the Star Wars universe.
I love when he gets in there, it's like that, it's kind of like low light, gritty. I think the camera like stays on the ground and you just kind of see him like shock this guy, and then I think you actually see the stormtrooper armor like smoking off the ground. It's so cool.
Yeah, that was an amazing
He does-
shot. The camera angles towards like the dead body while he's still killing
The
multiple
dead body,
other
yep.
enemies. That was really cool to see.
It's cool because like I said John Wick at least like 5 times now, but he really does give off that vibe, just like to the point where like when he's doing all this action, like to a point, like he knocks the guy down, but he also shoots him to make sure he stays down, like something John Wick would do. And he's doing all these brutal kills. He stabs someone in the back, literally. He just
Yeah,
he
that was awesome.
he crisps a guy straight up.
And the thing is, to make John Wick comparisons, he doesn't even like try to be stealthy when he leaves with Baby Yoda. He's like, I'm going to my ship, like leave me alone. Like the fact that he doesn't have to like sneak around because he's like that confident in his abilities is kind of hilarious to an extent, because he just like strolls out with the baby.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, he's just like walking through town, and he sees all the people surrounding him.
Right.
He's just like, I'm going to my ship. Put the baby down. We put the bounty down, and we can talk about this.
Yeah, that was the part that was interesting to me, because he walked through like the main exit out of town. I don't know if that was like the only
Yeah,
way
just the
out, but
down Main Street, I'm like, okay.
yeah, that was very confusing to me. But also, like, he almost died there at the end if it wasn't for the help of the Mandalorian. So, did he plan on that? Or was he just overconfident? It was very funny. It's again just another showcase of how like non-perfect the Mandalorian is, and I really like seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not some like perfect like warrior. It's like there's flaws within the conflict with the Mandalorian clan and conflict with the guild. I like that we're seeing this character get frustrated and like put in these positions where it has to test both his loyalty to things, but also like his abilities not being like able to test it not just time and time again. Like he's being tested by harder and harder threats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, something I've noticed is like throughout each episode, there are moments where he like should have been dead, but he's been getting aided. Like in the first time with the Blurg attack, I think his name is like Kuwait or something.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Nolte's character, he helps him. He stops the Blurgs, and then you have episode 2 where he's fighting the Mudhorn, and he almost died to the Mudhorn, and then Baby Yoda uses the Force. And then in this episode, he was about to die, and then he had help from the rest of the Mandalorians.
Mm.
That's something I noticed. Like there have been so many near-death experiences for him. It's insane.
And I know
That's one of the things I love is like following him. He's not perfect. Like he will die in many circumstances. He's not infinitely unbeatable, and I think that's sign of a good character when like you can see like he has flaws. He will trip up. Like fighting the Mudhorn alone, he was getting kicked around a bunch, and even here, like he was very much outnumbered. He would have died.
Yeah, and speaking of the Mudhorn, though, let's talk about that whole discussion he had with the female armor about like his new signet. Like he could have got the Mudhorn signet, but he declined that because quote the enemy helped him out, which is Baby Yoda. So do we think like by the end of this season, is he gonna get like a different signet, or is he just gonna accept the Mudhorn signet?
Well, I think he went with the bird wind.
Oh yeah, you're
I
right.
forgot what it's called.
Like the birds, the whistling birds. Yeah.
Yes.
Whistling birds. Yep.
Yeah. He pulled Iron Man when he was
an Iron Man
4-1.
John Favreau, if you ever are listening to this, which I doubt you are, you beautiful bastard.
That's what you said to him at Celebration or something. I can't remember. When John Favreau was leaving. Oh no, you're like asking
if that was Giancarlo
Esposito, and he's like, yeah.
I definitely have audio of that somewhere. I'm gonna have to pull that up.
Yeah.
What I love with the whole Mandalorian Underground is I was actually taking note on their different armors, specifically their helmets, because I was wondering if they would have like equally sized visors and everything. But I noticed like they had like various different sized visors and helmet padding, and I thought that was cool from a cosplaying perspective, because like I know people try to get as screen accurate as possible, but I feel like that like super includes the fandom even more to like you can make your own custom costumes however you want, and it very much could fit in with the Star Wars canon if you so wanted to.
Yeah, and it kind of points to like canon wise, like I think the dude he was kind of beefing with when he was bringing the Beskar was kind of like, oh, we can only go out like one at a time. Like, you know, it's kind of like literally a hodgepodge of Mandalorians from all over the place that have been kind of like distanced into the galaxy by the Empire. And so I think that the armor and the differences of, kind of pulling together whatever you can is kind of a testament to that, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I actually had a new developed theory, and I did discuss with Brandon a little more. I said on the last episode, we were looking at the flashback scenes in the first couple episodes, the Mandalorian's childhood, and the raid of the Separatist army coming in during the Clone Wars era. And I had a theory that his connection with Baby Yoda was because maybe Yoda was on the battlefield during that time in the Clone Wars. But then I had a different thought, that since Deborah Chow was directing this, what if we get a reveal in her next director credit in episode 7 that there was a Jedi helping out, but it was Obi-Wan, and you could have a semi tie-in, not like a tie-in completely story-wise to the Obi-Wan series, but just like having a little bit since Deborah's working on both. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing if that were to happen.
Yeah, it's a good theory. It's something that, like, as soon as I saw that shot, I was like you. I screamed out, like, oh, I think the next following shot could be a Jedi. But at the same time, I think it makes a lot more sense that it could just be a Mandalorian as well. And it's just like, that's how he became into the clan.
Mm-hmm.
It can go both ways.
I think mostly I just wanted to see Ewan McGregor in the Clone Wars outfit in live action. I feel like that'd be so
Oh
cool.
my god.
Yeah, see, like at work today, I was actually thinking what Evan was saying. I think it's just gonna be another Mandalorian.
Yeah, which I'm still like okay with, because I think that we've kind of established our through line with characters knowing about the Force and kind of like seeing obviously the Baby Yoda scene. And so I'm very curious if there's any more angles of like if he's seen a Jedi throughout this time,
Yeah.
Or like
For me,
we'll see.
For me, like, it changed a little bit because, like you were saying earlier about like him having his connection to Baby Yoda because of Yoda saving him. After putting more thought into it, he has more connection to him because he's a foundling.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Like, he's also a foundling. He doesn't want to see Baby Yoda just get tossed away like trash, like we saw in that part of the episode.
Yeah.
The dumpster part.
Dumpster
And also,
shot,
let's not
yeah.
forget episode 2, the egg. Like, you just saw the way the Jawas just like tore through that egg. And similar to Baby Yoda, it's kind of like symbolism there where it's like, I don't want the Empire to just go through Baby Yoda like he's just some egg. He's actually a real person, a real baby. So,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of symbolism there as well.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm not the one that came up with that, by the way. I heard.
So one thing,
I'm not some super genius, but I do like the theory and the symbolism.
So one thing I adore about this series so far going forward is like every episode, obviously there's a through line plot, but it doesn't feel so heavy that like if you were like do a rewatch that you have to just like rewatch these episodes to get to these episodes. I feel like this is perfectly episodic. If you wanted to sit down to watch any episode or just one viewing, you really could, because it is its own little self-contained thing every episode. And I think that's like a fun type thing like you would get like on a Saturday morning back in the day watching stuff. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
It's a very like, that's what I was thinking my second rewatch today of episode 3. It's like it feels like contained and fast paced enough per episode that you get all these bits of different pieces of Star Wars all in one, and it kind of just like works as kind of like a one shot, one and done. And then also, it's like you're so tempted by the next thing, but him flying into space, it's like, okay, you're satisfied with the arc of each episode, which is super awesome to see, kind of like how Disney Plus is going to change kind of the format of Star Wars. And so far, I think The Mandalorian has like done it in a unique way. Part of it being these short episodes that kind of have that Saturday morning feel, yet have like these bigger pictures through lines.
Yeah, what I think is a big a cool thing, like in regards to it feeling so episodic, is I feel like it also lends a whole layer to unpredictability of how things are going to go. We tend to like theorize with like any of the movies or the shows and stuff because we have like a lot of big plot flowing through. And even now we're theorizing, but as it goes, like episode 4, I have no idea where specifically he's going to go, how he's going to get somewhere, cuz just how self-contained a story can be per episode. And I think that's a big plus.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And also, it kind of reminds me of some episodes of the Clone Wars as well, where there's like certain arcs. Like you can see episodes 1, 2, and 3 of The Mandalorian as one complete arc. And I think the next couple episodes are going to be completely different, but also similar, because of course he's still running away with Baby Yoda. That through line's not going to end. But at the same time, like from episodes 1 to 3, we've seen him get the bounty. Now he's running away with the bounty. So it's also a similar, smaller arc like the Clone Wars does at times, but it's also branching out as well.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
in this next episode, Bryce Dallas Howard's episode, Cara Dune finally gets introduced, and I'm super excited to see Gina Carano in Star Wars.
Yes. Please.
I'm really excited. I didn't know she was. I mean, I had a feeling she was going to be introduced soon, but I didn't know it was this next episode. That's exciting to hear because, I think it's going to be a start of a new arc where we're going to have maybe somebody just as fierce, like side by side in his presence, and maybe just speculating here, like working as a team is going to be super interesting because of his kind of lone warrior vibes. So maybe this next arc is a situation where he has to work with people to protect Baby Yoda or, avoid bigger Empire conflicts or whatever the galaxy throws at him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what episode IG-11 is going to make his return.
Yeah, he has to be showing up soon too.
Me too.
I'm really anxious to see Moff Gideon, played by Giancarlo Esposito. I think he is a really, really amazing actor, and him playing a villain in any role is like spot on casting.
Exactly.
I think he's the next like bigger threat.
Yeah.
From.
I'm pretty sure he'll get introduced by the end of the next episode for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. Like at the end of this arc, like Werner Herzog is like our big threat, but now we have Giancarlo Esposito coming into the play here. And speaking about him though, like in one of the trailers, I don't think it's a spoiler, but yeah, in one of the trailers, we see the Mando like get on top of his TIE fighter using a jetpack, which he just commented on in episode 3, like I got to get one of those. So he does eventually get a jetpack. I don't know from where, but yeah.
Well, I mean, in the trailer shot, he's using his zip line.
Not a jetpack?
That's true.
No, but go back and look at it. He has a jetpack. I swear he has fumes coming out in the back too.
Yeah, we'll have to look back on that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's definitely exciting. Let's talk about the end shootout because obviously we had the Mandalorians come in, but just like that whole set piece of just like right from the first fire he does and flipping into the wheelbarrow or the carriage.
Drive.
Yeah.
It's like drive.
Drive. I love how it's like drive. It's like nah. It's just gunpoint drive, man. I feel like
I love how the droid thought that like had leverage in the situation to like not go.
Yeah.
Like what's the droid gonna do?
Oh my god! And then it just crashes.
So with how friendly Din and Griff Carcass were with each other, I honestly thought, like Carl Weathers' character, I honestly thought he'd let him run, but then he gathers up all the bounty hunters who's like, put the bounty down. I'm like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? He's turning bad immediately.
But that's the thing
like
I
this?
like too, because Grief Karga is not necessarily a bad guy. He was just doing his job as a leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild, and our boy Mandalorian here is messing with the rules here. So as a businessman, he just has to do what is in his job description, per se. But I also think that the Mando also purposely didn't shoot him like in the face or anything. He knew the Beskar was there. Yeah, exactly. He knew that.
He shot him in the Beskar.
The guy isn't a bad guy. He's just doing his job. He's breaking rules, so it's cool. We're cool.
Yeah. He's living his version of his best life at what he has, basically. And I love the scene. I love the scene in the cantina when Mando comes in with, the upgraded armor, and he's like, enjoy your rewards. Like, let me take you out. Like, like that's kind of like his version of the status quo and the part of the galaxy is like, those rewards is that's it. That's his life. And so I think it's interesting to see like the contrast between him just seeing all these things as a means to an end so he can enjoy his rewards, and Mandalorian all of a sudden kind of being taken out of this and like having empathy for something that's against the rules.
Yeah. So I have no doubt regarding Baby Yoda that he's gonna deliver him to. I don't think he's gonna keep him. I think he's gonna deliver him to a safe home world, a safe family to take it in. But I got a question. How much longer do you think we're gonna have Baby Yoda in the series? Do you think he's gonna last all 8 episodes? What do you guys think?
I think he'll last all 8 episodes. I do not think he's going to be in season 2. At least I hope not. I love Baby Yoda, but I think he's just a good MacGuffin, or I guess just a good character in general, for the first season, and then season 2 can be a totally different, brand new thing.
I think it all depends on when Giancarlo finally gets introduced, because in that TIE fighter shot, I feel like he has Baby Yoda, and he's like, I just looked back at that trailer shot, and he is using a jetpack, but I personally think that whatever episode Giancarlo's in, that's going to be like the second to last or whatever final episode that Baby Yoda's going to be in, because I think he's going to go rescue him, he's going to kill Moff Gideon, and he's going to finally deliver it to a safe place.
Yeah. I feel like he will be in all 8 episodes. And that he's just going to be the thing that's chased every time. I don't know if he's going to be in that TIE fighter with Giancarlo's character. Cause when he's like jumping onto the TIE fighter, I love the mystery of how much like we don't know. I felt like we were getting a lot of the trailer stuff, but after seeing that most of it is in these first couple of episodes, and just with like how we have 5 more episodes to go, which feels crazy that by Friday we're gonna be halfway through this first season.
That's crazy. So it's really a mid-season finale this week, which is
and then we're gonna
time go.
And then we're gonna cycle back the directors with Dave Filoni again. It's gonna be really exciting.
It's weird feeling that, because like we still have to introduce Cara Dune, we still have to introduce Bill Burr's character, we still have to introduce.
Oh yeah,
and let's not forget Ming-Na Wen.
We have to introduce more planets.
Yeah. Oh my God, when's she gonna pop up?
I think reading the episode descriptions, it could be episode 6 or something, 5 or 6, one of those upcoming episodes.
Oh, do you guys think the Mandalorian will form any form of a crew at all, or do you think he'll stay on his own by the end of season 1?
Well, regarding that shootout in one of the trailers where he's completely like decked out in Beskar, he just like kicks down a stormtrooper and starts blasting.
Yeah.
It looks like he does have a crew, because there's somebody right behind him coming out of a door.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be curious I think the rest of the season there'll probably be some conflict with like the permanence of a crew, and if he like quote unquote needs a crew, and how he kind of works with that. And I think that maybe like it's gonna be working against, not like literally against him, but like kind of metaphorically of like, okay, he has like he all of a sudden he's getting these like outside crew members, and that's kind of the Mandalorian culture is kind of questioning that, because he's this is the way, he's so used to being dedicated to just one cause, and so I think that's good to come into terms a little bit.
That's I
wouldn't be surprised of like it going a certain way, because I know Grief Kargas, there's at least one more shot of him in the trailer with Grief Kargas and like 3 others standing behind him with the Mandalorian ship landing in front of them, and he seems pretty peaceful just waiting there. So I feel like, I don't know if they're gonna like form a friendship crew, but I wouldn't be surprised if like they have to take on a mutually beneficial job together, which could be the whole Stormtrooper shootout thing that you referred to earlier.
Yeah, I have 2 answers to that question about the crew, though. I think eventually down the line from this season, he's going to get like Cara Dune, maybe IG-11 again, and Griff Karga. But also in this episode, we learn like the covert that they were hiding in on that planet. It's gone now because they just revealed themselves technically. So I think later down the season, maybe even season 2, we could see the Mandalorian helping to find them a new home, or maybe they go to Mandalore. But I'm not sure. But I just think in general they're gonna find like a new covert or a new area for them to hide at.
Yeah, I can definitely see leading into season 2, getting a bigger through story of the rise, like the resurgence of the Mandalorian and their culture into the universe, rebuilding it. I feel like that would be a cool project to tackle.
Yep. Also, in conjunction with that, we can get Bo-Katan finally in the series with Katie Sackhoff. I think that's a given.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think honestly
Please.
she's in season 2. That's got to be what that tweet was about.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be so exciting. I'm so mad that I missed out on seeing her for the past celebration. Hope she comes to the next one.
I bet she will.
I hope so. So that was a pretty big talk regarding Mandalorian, but this is a pretty full show, and we've already hit about a 30-minute mark. So we're gonna head over into some more news that Carson has gathered, because there was a lot of article stuff that dropped regarding Rise of Skywalker and various things. So Carson, if you could you lead off on the first thing regarding that?
Absolutely. There's a lot to unpack, so we're just going to try to synthesize this into as simple terms as possible. But basically on, I believe, this was either Monday or Tuesday of last week, we got a big Entertainment Weekly inside Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker piece, and we got those glorious covers of each of the trilogy's heroes. We got the prequel cover, the OT cover, and the sequel cover, and it was really cool to kind of just recollect on how much time these eras have gone across. But the main part of this article kind of goes over a lot of it is with interviewing JJ, and kind of the big thing that I gathered for the most part is JJ seems a lot more certain about this. There's quotes in here about there was less reshoots in episode 7, there was less story changes, and there's a lot of information regarding John Boyega's I said he had to read the script 6 more times because there was so much information when Abrams and Chris Terrio first gave it to him, and stuff like that. It's just there seems like there's a lot we had to accomplish in this movie, but it seems like everybody that is behind this movie is certain that it's going to satisfy people in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to discuss too, because the people are like, "Oh, there's so much packed into this movie." Even Anthony Daniels, like John Boyega, commented about how this movie is very layered, and they had to reread it twice just to fully grasp it. And I think that has to do with all the lore insights that Chris Terrio might have brought on board, because everybody was talking about how influential he was with the canon and how smart he was with the Star Wars knowledge. So I think that goes a long way there. And then also, just connecting all 9 trilogies. Of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff to unpack, a lot of Easter eggs and stuff there.
That's one of the biggest things I'm most looking forward to, is seeing how they're able to connect the through line of all 9 films to one grand epic finale, and making it work in such a way that not only services the past films but the current story we've been telling with the sequel trilogy. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And kind of the big quote of this whole thing is Abrams declares the stakes are all or nothing with this film. It's truly going to be a sense of finality, I think, to at least the Skywalker storyline. And obviously Star Wars will go on, but this is the big hurrah. And
it's definitely
it's literally 25 days away, and that's just, oh my god, my head's racing. I can't even imagine everyone at ILM right now trying to finish visual effects and get things locked. It's crazy.
Because we know this is the true final battle, when you have seemingly every ship we've ever encountered going up against a gigantic army of Star Destroyers. Truly the last hurrah of rebellion against the Empire because the rebellion was reborn. I wonder if they're going by the rebellion now or still resistance. Now that I
Yeah,
think about
that's interesting because I think Skywalker will be recontextualized. I wonder if Rebellion will too.
Yeah.
Well, Luke Skywalker said the rebellion is reborn today, and then
Yes.
there's also tracks in the Last Jedi track called Rebellion Reborn.
Yes, please.
But however, the book Resistance Reborn, which I'll dip into in a few minutes,
Mm.
it's called Resistance Reborn. So I don't know.
It is.
But yeah,
It is
overall,
interesting.
there's just so much. I would just highly recommend go checking out this EW article. There's quotes from each individual cast member. There's Oscar Isaac like having to stop himself because he's saying too much. He's quote, I really think it captures the spirit of original trilogy. On top of that, there's the fact that Rey has ... literally has to stop himself. And it's interesting because I think a lot of these Rey quotes about the parentage thing still being a factor could be taken out of context. But I truly think that Rey's parentage in this movie is going to be dealt with in a way where Rey is going to be still doubting herself. It's not going to be like we have to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be kind of like Rey coming into her own and like still having that in the back of her mind, which I think is kind of a natural part of her character.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought
I definitely
that up.
wanted.
Well, continue, Nathan.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick. I definitely hope that come Rey regarding her parentage, I think it will be addressed, and I hope it ultimately just comes down to she wants the answer, she gets the answer, and no matter what the answer is, she now has that closure, and she has now come into her own as to who she's meant to be.
Yeah, so on the parentage thing, and Kylo's whole your parents were nothing. She says it's not that she doesn't believe it, but she feels like there's more to the story, and she needs to figure out what's come before her so she can do what's next. And really, I think that speaks to bigger thematic value of the sequel trilogy is, and I believe in another article that we're going to talk about is JJ really speaks a lot about how this trilogy is about new characters handling the burden of what's come before. And I think
Love that.
that's in terms of legacy, in terms of, the Empire and all of that. I think it all comes into play.
It's super exciting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, this whole trilogy has been about like the burden, especially in The Last Jedi, where Kylo's like, let's end it all, because he's having that burden of like Han, his parents, his legacy.
Right, and you can't blame him because there's been so much that's happened to him.
Exactly, and this I also tweeted this out the other day. It's like, this is why I'm glad that Palpatine is back, because when you have to confront the burden, the sins of the past, what bigger sin than Palpatine? He's the one who caused everything in the first place. He's the one who seduced Anakin to the dark side, or at least nudged him that way. And then, he's the one that was taken out at the end of Return of the Jedi, or so we thought. So I'm glad that they're actually going back to the big bad of it all.
Yeah, man. Okay, so I indulge me for a moment. I may have found obviously an accidental, but potentially the best unintentional Easter egg of the Skywalker saga itself. So I was bored at work today, and I was just thinking about Star Wars because it's my life. And I was thinking about the whole journey of the Skywalker saga and like how long it's spanned. And I was thinking like from the moment Anakin's born, following everything. Allow me to be the Charlie Day meme comparing all these different connections. So Anakin is 9. Anakin is 9 by the Phantom Menace, and then he turns 19 by Attack of the Clones. Clone Wars goes on for 3 years, and he's 22. Then by the end of Revenge of the Sith, we got 19 years to A New Hope, which makes 41 years. And I'm pretty sure I got all the time frame right. The original trilogy runs for 5 years, which brings us to 46. We get 30 years later to get to The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, because they're right after each other, which brings us to 76. It's confirmed that Rise of Skywalker is 1 year after The Last Jedi, which makes 77 years that the entire Skywalker lineage and their story has affected the galaxy, aka 77, the original year premiere date of the first ever Star Wars film.
Oh my god.
Holy
If
crap!
I know
Nathan,
that's like,
jeez.
I know I know that's completely unintentional and coincidental, but that is amazing.
You lost me at 41.
Okay, but
I
yeah, still, like, from Anakin's birth to the end of Rise of Skywalker spans 77 whole years of the galaxy, aka the premiere date of Star Wars in 1977.
Wow,
That's awesome.
Nice pull, man.
Yeah, I was just like thinking about the whole time frame of BBY and everything just to myself, and I was like, hang on. How long has the Skywalkers been messing with the galaxy? 77 years. 1977.
that's insane.
It's so cool.
And just to keep going on some more Rise of Skywalker stuff, this is from the Rolling Stone article that it's pretty much a J.J. Abrams interview. There are some kind of weird questions that are kind of like, oh, there was some irreverence towards The Last Jedi and all this stuff. What do you think of this, J.J.? Kind of like, why would you ask J.J. that if you got the chance to interview J.J. Abrams?
Yeah.
However, he was asked about the criticism of The Force Awakens, and I think this just really speaks to everything that we were just kind of talking about, including the whole 77 years thing. So basically he's talking about introducing a story with Rey, and he's saying, but the idea was to continue the story and begin with a young woman who felt like Luke Skywalker was a myth, and to tell the story that was not just history repeating itself, but a story that embraced the movies that we know as the actual history of the galaxy, so that they are living in a place where there is good versus evil. They're still living in the shadow of what's come before, still grappling with the sins of the father and the people that preceded them. I need that on a t-shirt. It's perfect.
That whole paragraph on a t-shirt. Let's go.
Just put it on a t-shirt.
Tattoo it on my forehead, man. I'm ready. Can we let's discuss real quick. Today, this evening, I think, they dropped a cultural significance video of that Star Wars has had this last over 40 years.
Oh, the feels. They put in a Spaceballs clip, like, how?
They put in a Spaceballs.
All
went as far as to, like, referencing other TV stuff.
Spaceballs, Family Guy, everything.
Simpsons.
Like Simpsons, all of it, dude.
Kevin Smith was in it, I believe.
Yeah, that was from
Jay
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Oh, it's so good.
James Baney from the Resistance broadcast was also in there.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I saw his reaction
me
in there
too.
from the trailer.
Everybody was tagging him. Look. Oh, it was so cool. Just seeing like all these fans, like all throughout the years, like going back, like standing in line, like whether it's overnight or like the original premiere, in all these conventions and stuff. It's just so beautiful, and it reminds you, just like the cultural impact that this has on the fandom, and like what it means to so many people. Like, it's not just movies for us. I know they're just movies, but they can mean more to that. Like, whether it's just takes you out of from a bad day you've been having, and it transports you to that galaxy where you just have a blast and a fun time. Like, to me, that's like one of the biggest things film can do, and Star Wars has done that for the past 40 years. And it's just so beautiful what they've accomplished, and that's still relevant to today, still inspiring new generations. It's so beautiful. That's why we love it.
Yeah, it gave me really a lot of chills. Just in general, this past 4 years, it's a bittersweet ending because this has really reinvigorated my love for Star Wars. I've always loved Star Wars, but just digging into the complexities, the symbolism of all these new movies, and then retroactively watching the other movies again. I mean, just watching 1 through 9 as a complete saga is just going to be unreal after The Rise of Skywalker comes out. And yeah, it's going to be bittersweet. I love this franchise so much.
The video reminded me, the closest and feels I can kind of articulate is when John Williams came out on stage for the 40th anniversary panel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it kind of just brings it all these emotions of everything you've ever felt and everything you ever loved and everything you ever keep looking forward to in Star Wars all just comes into, like, you know, one moment of you watching all these clips, and it was beautiful. And I'm glad they dropped that around now, because it really is a good reminder that, you know, even though as we quote unquote end the Skywalker saga, that the impact will live on for generations and generations to come.
It was so emotional, like just going through, because it was not only showcasing fans' excitement about Star Wars, but also the cast themselves, like John Boyega geeking out about getting that signature from Harrison Ford on the action figure, like just like all this stuff we saw back in 2015. The fact that that was 4 years ago, all this stuff, it's interesting because I know the cast is pretty jaded now that they've experienced it for 4 years, but just seeing like how they started and just how excited they all were, and it was also really touching emotionally because we've been through a lot and unfortunately we have lost some people, but like when they're going through the montage and you see like Kenny Baker and Peter Mayhew, and then you see I think yeah you see like somebody talking about significance of Star Wars in another language, and then match cuts to Carrie speaking her French language about Leia, and it's so beautiful.
Oh, Star Wars.
Star Wars, it's more than a film. I assure you.
Yeah, not to switch up the tone in a negative direction. I do not mean to do that.
Right.
But there was one article that came out this week that kind of is going
Yikes.
through a little bit yikes about the future of Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy's future with the company and whatnot. And basically, it's breaking down that Kathleen does in fact have a movie lined up for 2022, which is supposedly supposed to be announced in January. We don't know what that. Yes,
Is Ryan.
Absolutely, give us Ryan Johnson.
Go see Knives
However,
Out. I don't care if it's not Star Wars related.
Go see Knives Out. But the big part of this article is kind of hinting at Jon Favreau, in fact, and Dave Filoni having more of creative input moving forward past the Kathleen Kennedy years of Star Wars. And I truly think Kathleen is going to be with this company for more years than people give her credit for. I think I really do. I think that she's going to stick. How old is she now?
I think she's
in her 60s.
I believe so.
I think she's like 60. I just think the way both the success box office wise of the movies and now the success of The Mandalorian, I think as quote unquote controversial, I'm going to say quote unquote so many times this episode, as controversial as a producer she is, like her ability to amass talent and kind of tell these stories of a new generation, I think is unquestionable. And I think as long as she continues to do that, I think she'll be with Lucasfilm.
That's a good point. I still think that she's going to be leaving Lucasfilm in 2021 along with Bob Iger. I think they're going to walk out of Disney together, in fact. But it's going to be on her own decision.
Wow.
I think she finished her trilogy. She came in what she did. She did what she had to do. I mean, she did The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and she's setting up the future. Now who gets to continue that? I have no idea. I mean, maybe it could be Kathleen Kennedy continuing on, but I think she's getting up there in age. I think she really wants to pass the torch on. And this is what I wanted to talk about here, because in that article, they talked about Michelle Rejwan being like that producerial role in terms of, because she had a lot of experience with The Force Awakens, and now she's back again with The Rise of Skywalker. So I think she's very talented. Dave Filoni, I think he's secretly, I mean, not really secretly or unsecretly, he's had a lot of creative impact on these movies. Like Kathleen Kennedy said, she would always ask him, like, what's going on? What, like, anything that he can input, she'd always ask Dave Filoni because he's, like, the huge Canon junkie. And then rounding out the trifecta is Jon Favreau. And Jon Favreau is a fantastic director. He's a great producer in his own right, as we've seen with The Mandalorian. The directors he got for The Mandalorian are fantastic. Deborah Chow, Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa. So Jon Favreau has a lot of experience in that department. But the thing I'm mixed on, because that does sound like a great trifecta to continue the franchise on after Kathleen Kennedy, if that's going to happen. But the thing I'm mixed on is I don't want Jon Favreau having a huge role in terms of the 2022 movie. I don't want him directing the movie. I'll be fine with him possibly being like a creative consultant or maybe helping creatively map it out. But I would really like somebody different to direct the film and write the film as well.
Yeah, definitely give I mean, there's so many filmmakers that you'd want to give a chance to, new filmmakers out there. I think it's definitely interesting. I think they'll definitely get plenty of impact from Filoni moving forward. I mean, remembering that he is literally the real life Padawan to George Lucas, that 100% happened and is probably still happening to this day. I'm sure they're still pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you, Evan, that I kind of want the extension of Kathleen's plans to kind of play out with Ryan's stuff. And I think Jon Favreau is unquestionably a great producer. And I would love to see, I would not mind him, being that figurehead of amassing talent moving forward. But I also think it would be cool that Michelle Rejwan stays on and kind of gets a bigger role, and we kind of see a bigger group of diverse talent along with these veterans that have been with Lucasfilm for so long, a chance to kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm curious about. Because even in that article, it like flat out said in the title that Rian Johnson wasn't going to be doing the 2022 movie. So even if that's true or not, that's just reporting from the Hollywood Reporter. It's not accurate. I mean, it could be accurate, but I'm wondering, like, is this next 2022, 2024, 2026, is that going to be a trilogy, or is Rian Johnson just going to be for the 2024 movie? Are these going to be separate? So after Rise of Skywalker, I'm just very curious to see the plan, the layout. And maybe they'll explain that at Celebration with whoever they got on board for the 2022 movie, but there's still just like a lot of questions in the air.
Yeah. I think the focus right now is, obviously Rise of Skywalker and getting obviously a new breath of Star Wars on Disney Plus. There's a lot of focus on that. I think there's perfectly time to just sit back and say, okay, let's weigh our options with theatrical releases, because at the end of the day, I would much rather have them sit back, take a year or two, and be like, we want these films to still be events. We want to give new talent opportunities, and we want to take advantage of all the great people we have. The Dave Filoni's, the Jon Favreau's of the world. I would love if they would, take some time, announce a slate maybe 2 years down the line or at Celebration next year when they get things figured out, and truly kind of go through it without having to think that they need to make a 2022 date for a specific trilogy if they're not ready.
Yeah.
We have one more article to cover.
I kind of glossed over most of them. The only other things were the character posters and the gorgeous Empire covers that dropped.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are missing the bullshit BuzzFeed article that was posted today. 18 jokes about Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace that will remind you nobody likes the movie.
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about that.
Sir, censor yourself.
But do you guys have anything to say about the character posters, the Empire covers, anything?
They're beautiful. I mean, are we shocked at all that they look gorgeous and this hype train can't get any more full, but somehow it is?
That's the thing, though. I don't think the character posters look the best. They're about the same as The Force Awakens, where it's just like a face and a weapon, which looks cool, but
I still love The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, again, like Carson said, The Last Jedi is the one that looks more stylized. It looks like creatively different.
Yeah.
These are nice. I have the Kylo one as my phone screensaver because I'm a huge fan of Kylo.
You're talking about the ones with the Starfield, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those.
Yeah, I call those the trading card posters.
Yeah, exactly.
They do look like trading cards.
But the Empire covers
they're great.
are the ones that look the best. I love the Empire cover of Kylo and Rey holding their weapons together. Kind of like creating.
That is my favorite.
The Dark Rey custom art.
That was
the subscriber
cool
cover
too,
is really good.
My favorite one of all these that were released was the Empire one with the sabers because it is the two of them standing together holding their sabers up, a la Return of the Jedi teaser poster style. Uh,
Also, the purple. We have to talk
yes,
about the purple.
the purple, like Kylo's sabers going from red to the purple, because the balance is great, but also it freaks me out every time, like looking closer that just Palpatine's
Palpatine.
really
Oh,
creepy
his
face back
eyes,
there.
especially on the red side.
Oh my god, his face. I mean, his eyes, yeah, but his face, it's just like it's so creepy, just right
Them
behind there.
wrinkles, though.
They're so subtle. It's subtle enough to just be creepy. Oh, but it's so perfect. It's a great issue. I mean, they just keep delivering. They did drop a couple of new TV spots. We're trying to avoid it. I mean, some more than others. Saw the one. We're not seeing the other. We can't discuss it here because not all of us have seen them. But just to let you guys know, any further footage to come out, we're not going to cover it on this show. We will probably review the actual film once it drops because that's going to be madness. Um, but yeah, and we're just on the hype train right now. It's only like 24 days away now, and I don't think any of us are ready.
All right. So I think that's all for the most part in terms of news and article wise. Like I said, you guys should go check out all these articles. I'm sure we'll have respective links in the descriptions for you guys to go look at all these gorgeous covers and dive into all of these quotes. There's so much to dive into, and like Nathan said, 24 days left. It's crazy. But I think with that, we're going to move on to a different topic, I believe, Nathan.
Yeah, we got a new topic, which you're gonna have to sit out for, Carson. I'm terribly sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, so very recently, I know Evan's been grinding through it, but I think me and Brandon have passed him due to simplistic difficulties. We have picked up and have been, well, yeah, I mean, to each his own. We got the new video game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The one video game that we were very hyped about in the beginning, and then the marketing kind of left for a while, and then it's like, oh yeah, it is still coming out. Is it any good? And it seems like it's getting pretty universally praised as like the best Star Wars game ever. We wanted to go around and give our thoughts regarding the playability and mechanics. I wanted to kick things off just to get my feel. I'm sure we all have different levels because I know some of us game more than others. I'm not much of a gamer whatsoever. I am mostly film based, so by the time I do play a game, I so rarely do it. I mean, just for reference, I played Spider-Man PS4, and I've pretty much only played that like 5 times in a row because not only I love Spider-Man, but I don't game a lot. But yeah, we got a Star Wars thing, and of course I started this podcast because I love it. I love Star Wars, and this was intriguing to see. I mean, Cameron Monaghan is leading off the whole story. The story's great. Just dealing with only about 5 years after Revenge of the Sith and Order 66 executed, it's the Fallen Order, and basically throughout the game you're trying to uncover and try to find this MacGuffin, this holocron, that will hopefully save the future of the Jedi Order and rebuild it. You can build off many theories for that. I kind of feel like it could affect Rise of Skywalker in a way if you were to just introduce the fact that there is a holocron with like this info. I don't know. Maybe it could fuel into Last Jedi with Luke's training academy. I don't know, but it's intriguing to see. We haven't finished the game yet completely, but just to lead off with our impressions, I was very surprised with the difficulty. Maybe it's because I'm bad at games because I'm not a gamer, but there is plenty of different challenges, and I love that there's a lot that you can tackle. The worlds are very expansive, so you definitely get a lot of bang for your buck. There's a lot of collectibles around. The through line of the story is great. The exploring is fun. It can get a little, I wouldn't say repetitive, but it does get a little difficult here and there. You do get kind of turned around a lot and having to find your way through. It's very important that you look at your holo map that they include. Thank God that exists. Otherwise, I'd probably rage quit the game instantaneously. But it's really great, and I'm actually the most impressed by the lightsaber combat because it's not just hack and slash. There actually is strategy in taking hits and stuff. Like every time you swing your saber, you're not just always going to hit them. Either they're going to hit you because they have a better angle than you do. It all depends on how you block and avoid and dodge, and you have to be strategic with your fighting, and you unlock different skills which definitely help you, as well as your different level of force powers. And you have to be strategic. Like you could be like across from a chasm, somebody shooting at you. You have to time your reflection or deflection rather of the saber to the blaster bolt to get them back at them. I love the strategy that's involved in it and different creatures. I love the designs, and it's crazy because you encounter a lot of different creatures. Some can be similar than others, um, but they all have different ways that they hack and slash at you and their effects that they have on you. So it does kind of have a surprise factor because it's pretty unpredictable. It does get predictable when you encounter them again, obviously, but every time you meet a new foe, you're not sure how it's going to come at you or what the effects are if you defeat it or not. Sometimes a boss you'll fight will get away because you have to finish them off later. It's just a fun time, and the characters are great. The fact that you can go to different planets at any point in time that you want to backtrack because you unlock new abilities. It's all super fun, and honestly, it does get to the point where I'll fall into playing it way too long. And even today, I was at work and I was like, man, I wish I was home playing Fallen Order. I really did, because I'm loving the story. I want to continue it, but I'm also loving the gameplay. So I'm just having a grand old time. Brandon, what is your take on Jedi Fallen Order?
Same here. I personally love the game. I think I'm I think I'm a few planets ahead of you guys. So I'm not gonna dip it too much into spoilers, but personally, I think it's a fantastic game. The platforming can be, it's definitely a learning curve. You have to learn how to use platforming. Luckily, it teaches you the first few minutes. John Campia. Anyways, but yeah, it's a fantastic game. There's a lot of things that you pick up, and there's a lot of customizations. Like you can choose any outfit that you have. You can change the skin of BD1. You can change the skin of your ship. You can customize with all different lightsaber the kyber crystals, all different kinds of saber material. It's just fantastic. The puzzles can be interesting at times. Like I remember the other night, I was stuck on this one part, and I'm like, Nathan, what do I do? Guess he made it past it. I've been trying to ask him.
Yeah, sure they are,
But
guys. I'm sure they are.
also, like, I'm a big gamer, but at the same time, like, I'm also playing on the easiest difficulty because the enemies are actually pretty hard on the easiest difficulty as well.
Yeah, Evan. Oh man. Yeah, I will agree. I love unlocking stuff. I didn't mention that there is the point that you can customize your lightsaber, which is my favorite thing of the collectibles. And the more abilities you unlock that can open different areas in the maps that you can get collectibles. A lot of those collectibles are lightsaber pieces, and I thought it was really cool that people that built their sabers at Galaxy's Edge in real life, you can actually recreate that same saber in the game, plus more. But it's super cool that they were able to include that. I've always wanted to be able to customize my own lightsaber, and the fact that you can do that from every little individual piece of the emitter and every different point in the grip, and as well as the color of the blade, it's one of the most perfect things. There's plenty of great collectibles you can get, whether it's ship decals or costuming for both you or BD1, who is fantastic, by the way. BD1 is a legendary droid. I'm intrigued to see where this game goes, because again, we haven't finished the story. But if they were to leave it open for a potential sequel, I think I would be down for it. I don't know if they would. It all depends on how the story wraps up. But I would definitely want another game like this. But Evan, what's your impression of Fallen Order so far?
But yeah, I'm loving Jedi Fallen Order. I'm on the Jedi Master difficulty level, so it's extreme hard. I've died like 5 or 6 times the ninth sister. But again, the combat is like game combat. Like even when you attack, you leave your defenses wide open. So you have to learn how to parry well, which I'm really not at. They learn how to dodge well, which is some things I'm kind of good at. But besides the mechanic combat, I'm also loving the puzzles. It feels very like Uncharted, and that part is really interesting to me because I played a lot of Uncharted games. It's my favorite game, so that part I'm used to. The story hasn't fully grabbed me yet. I can't tell how far I'm into the game yet. And that's what I'm excited to learn as we continue on. And the best part about this game for me is the character of the second sister. I think she's easily the most fleshed out sister, just so far as I'm at right now. I haven't even finished the game yet. And I think the second sister is a fantastic character. She's a great foil to Cal, and I'm excited to see how their relationship by the end of the game.
The seventh.
It's the seventh sister. Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Mm.
But yep, that's about it.
All right, that's pretty good. Yeah, there's not. I mean, obviously, we're still in the midst of playing it, so there's not too much for us to continually talk about. But before we go, I did want to touch on one more thing, just to get a bit more variety, to cover the different medias of Star Wars. It seems like we've all had a little bit of reading material going on, whether it's past or present. We've all been checking out different things, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about my thing. I recently just started reading different points of the short stories in a certain point of view. I've been wanting to check out for a while, ever since I heard about the different stories, especially the Yoda one. The Yoda story is probably by far my favorite, just experiencing that whole thing that played out, just with how Yoda is dealing with life on Dagobah during A New Hope, because they're all set during A New Hope. Um, it's intriguing to see like his thought process of like the past and the present, how he lives on Dagobah, who he actually wants to train Leia, not Luke, and how he's kind of hand forced to train Luke by Obi-Wan, who also deals with the Force Ghost process, which is interesting. There's plenty of different stories. I also saw one with Palpatine, which I thought was intriguing. It was all written from Palpatine's perspective, but it was written in the form of a poem, which I thought was really cool. Really showing off his cockiness of wanting to rule the universe, and how like the setback of the whole Death Star is only going to make them stronger. And I just, every little point he makes about like nobody will resist against us and we will crush them, they'll never oppose us, and I just think about all the different shots from Rise of Skywalker and all throughout the legacy of the Star Wars saga. It's really cool. A lot of great stories, but also one which was beautiful was Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice excerpt, not excerpt from her actual book, but this story that I think was the baseline to the origin of birthing out the actual Master and Apprentice book, which I think I'm going to check out next because I was so in love with
It's fantastic, as you should.
Exactly. I love Claudia. I mean, it was already amazing meeting her at Celebration. Me and Carson got some autographs signed for him, but it's so cool. She's so nice, and she is one of the best Star Wars writers, if not the best Star Wars writer. And her art, her passage in certain point of view was beautiful with old Ben Kenobi in A New Hope, talking to Qui-Gon Jinn as Luke is off finding his aunt and uncle burned at the homestead. He's communicating with Qui-Gon while 3PO and R2 are cremating the Jawas. It's really interesting to see like how the future plays out and how Qui-Gon knows Obi-Wan doesn't have much time left. Just seeing their relationship written out and flesh out even more is beautiful, and I'm so ready to dive into her actual book. There's a lot of great short stories I still got to catch up on, but just dealing with some of the main characters was great, and it really is just a fantastic read. Carson, had you checked out anything recently?
Yes. First, I just want to plug the Dooku audiobook. I checked this out a while ago. Let me get do you guys know the official title of that?
Jedi Lost, was it?
Jedi Lost, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Dooku Jedi Lost. It's actually there is a physical version of it now, but it's written kind of as a
like a radio play, right?
Like a radio play, and they cast all the different parts. And it's just great Dooku content, some great Asajj Ventress content. I would really recommend. I hope we get more Star Wars stories in this format, because it really kind of transports you to the universe with sound effects and voice performances by actors, and it's fantastic. But I'm currently listening to the audiobook of New Dawn, which of course is about Kanan and Hera. And I'm very early into the book, but I'm loving young Kanan content at the early stages of his Padawan days, where he's actually kind of going through the academy, and there's some scenes with Obi-Wan where Kanan is kind of questioning a lot of stuff with the Jedi, and it's really fascinating to see those two interact with those different periods in their life. And I would also recommend that. I'll let you guys know more as I get into that book, but I cannot recommend the canon novels enough. They've just great Star Wars storytelling. Honestly, my favorite behind the movies. So check out A New Dawn and Dooku Jedi Lost.
That's awesome. I know that the audiobooks are almost cinematic in their own right, and I know Brandon was bringing that up. Brandon was bringing that up for what he's checking out. Brandon, you want to tell us what you just recently finished?
Yeah, last week, I just recently finished the audiobook of Resistance Reborn, and I absolutely loved that novel. Listening to it audiobook-wise, I love how they put... The guy does, like, spot-on impressions for all the characters, like Maz and Rey. Like it's kind of easy to do Maz, but this guy gets it spot on. He gets Poe spot on. He gets, like, Rey and Leia spot on, but... Anyways, besides the fact, they put like music in there, sound effects. It's great because like when you're working and you're listening to it, you're able to focus in on the book, and I love it. But anyways, Resistance Reborn, it dips into what happens after The Last Jedi, like a few weeks after Last Jedi. They're going into having to find a hiding place, having to dip into their last reserves of Resistance members, old Rebellion members, old Imperial members who are willing to join the fight for the First Order. They dip into Ryloth, they send Snap to go visit, which is his parents. His parents are Wedge Antilles, and his wife are Snap Wexley's parents. And it's great. Like, I can just picture, like, in my mind, Greg Grunberg landing in an X-Wing to go see Dennis Lawson, to go bring him in to get help for the rising resistance to go fight the First Order. And it's great. The adventure Poe and Finn... Yeah, I said that right. Poe and Finn, the adventure they go through to go try and get help from more old Resistance members or Rebellion members or people who owe them favors, and just to begin with, and the banter between Snap and Wedge going on their own mission, and it's just great. I love it. It wrapped up perfectly, and I'm really anxious to see how this leads into Episode 9, which also... forgot to mention Shrev Shurgov and Zay Versio from Battlefront 2. They make an appearance in this, and it's awesome. And I'm really hoping we get them in live action.
Wow, I like them.
Awesome, dude. I can't.
Yeah, there's a chance we could see them in the Rise of Skywalker too.
Oh man, I really hope so.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, that's definitely exciting. I really hope to check it out before, December 20th when Rise of Skywalker comes out. Get your tickets now. Evan, did you read anything recently?
Well, I'm getting ready to get the audiobook for Resistance Reborn, but recently I've been catching up on the comic book, so some of the listeners might already be ahead of me in terms of certain comic books, but I'm really getting back into the Dr. Aphra comic book and the main Star Wars run of the comic book. And I'll just speak about Dr. Aphra because I just love her character so much. I love her series. I think it's one of the best Star Wars series, probably even more consistent than the main Star Wars run itself. It's right up there for me next to the Darth Vader comic book series that was just released by Charles Soule. So yeah, I'm very much liking the Dr. Aphra comic. Again, some people might criticize the comic because it's been like, I don't know how many issues. It's been like over 25 issues right now, and it's very going back and forth between stuff she's already been dealing with, her complexity, similar storylines kind of in a way, but that's why I'm very much excited for her to have her new run back in March, because they're going to reboot her run. So thank God she's not going to die. She's going to continue on in 2020 with a new set of writers, and in general, yeah, like right now she's has like this mission where they're trying to recreate like this similar Death Star like weapon, but it's the Resistance, not the Empire. I mean, it's the Rebellion, not the Empire, who's trying to do this. So it's very interesting because she's trying to grapple with that. So it's a very funny, very weird kind of comic book, but I'm loving it. It's really cool.
Oh, awesome! Did you guys hear the recent rumor that there might be a Disney Plus series in the future for Dr. Aphra?
I saw that.
I would love that.
I saw it. I'm taking it with a huge grain of salt, but I would definitely love it. There's like tons of rumors for Disney Plus, but she is definitely one that really deserves her own series. I mean, a lot of characters do, but her storyline, her character in particular, it creates room for a lot of different, unique stories that can just, after seeing Mandalorian, I could definitely see Dr. Aphra in this world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Like, also for me, I love it because, like, Dr. Aphra, she's only in, like, comics and novelization. I'd love to see her get brought out into a brighter, like, a brighter set of eyes of, like, people who don't really read, like, watch, like, Star Wars shows and stuff. It'd be amazing to get her in live action.
Yeah, because she's such a great character. Like, I love Aphra so much. If she could make the jump to live action, that would be something monumental. I don't know who would handle her run on Disney Plus, but it's pretty exciting. Maybe Deborah Chow. We're already giving her.
She is busy.
She's busy, but maybe after. I don't know. It's exciting though. It's a lot of great prospects of the future of Star Wars. As the Rise of Skywalker ends, there's new stories still be told because it's such a big galaxy. Whether you stay within the confine of the 77 years or not, it's really fantastic. We have been chatting for about the same time as last time, so my cut down time did not work, but I don't care. This was definitely worth the chat. I think we had a fantastic run for episode 2 of Hyperspace Hype. Had a great time talking with all you guys, despite it being about 3 a.m. now where we are, but it's worth it. Get the show out because I love doing this. This is really fun. I'm hoping to keep this continuing weekly. Had a great time. But to wrap it up, do you guys want to plug any social media, anywhere they can follow you? Carson, maybe?
Cool. You guys can find me on Twitter at The Force Critic. I'm usually tweeting about Star Wars or pretentious indie movies, mostly pretentious indie cinema. But you can find me there. You can also find this on Nathan's channel. That's where Hyperspace Hype is uploaded. And we're also working on getting some more audio versions and different platforms for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But great episode. I'm excited to dive into yet another week of Star Wars. So excited for Mandalorian episode 4. Catch you guys next time.
Very awesome. Brandon, anywhere you'd like to be followed?
I'm pretty sure Nathan's going to put in the description.
Yep.
And so my Twitter is at Phantasmic Ears. I tweet about Disney Park stuff. I retweet random stuff. I tweet about the Star War. But yeah, it's a fun experience being on Twitter. Please edit that out. Please edit that out.
Never.
I don't know why I just said that. But yeah, follow me over there, and thank you guys again for listening.
Awesome. Evan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Harris EV9 on Twitter. Unlike these guys, I watch all the TV spots, all the trailers. So if you guys want to discuss about that, I'll be open to it on Twitter. Just put up the correct hashtags and everything so people can mute correctly. But besides that, yeah, like everybody else, I'm watching a ton of movies in the next coming weeks. It's been very good for movies. I just saw Marriage Story with Adam Driver, which is my new favorite movie of the year. So I'll just be thinking about that, tweeting about that, and a lot of Star Wars coming up, a lot of talk shows this coming week. So I'm excited to come back here again next week and talk about it.
Very exciting. And as you guys know, I put all the info, links to all social medias and references in the description, where you can find all my social medias and stuff. But that being said, guys, that wraps up episode 2 of Hyperspace Hype. We're going to jump back into the Speed Force. Not the Speed Force. That's the Flash. I messed up. Oh, no. I was on such a roll. No, we're going to jump back into the hyperspace. But with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed the show and you look forward to more episodes, I'll probably create a playlist on the channel at this point now that there's more than one episode. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this and you like the show, hit the like button, subscribe if not already. And that being said, hope you have a great day. And may the force be with you always.